always remember Cap for his laugh, his smile, and like his what's up buddies and like all his dance moves. And my favorite memory of Cap is when we'd always do our face mask and movie nights, and how he would like force me to put a face mask on him, but then 10 minutes later he'd tell me to take it off, and now he hated me for putting it on him.
Oh, it's so, I can't touch it. Oh my God. Oh. It's right here. I can't, if I do that more, ow.
One thing that I learned from Cap was his ability to almost talk to anyone. I remember when I was going into kindergarten, I had to switch daycares to the daycare Cap was going to, and I was kind of a shy guy. I was standing in the corner all by myself, waiting for my mom to come back, pick me up. And I just remember Cap coming up to me and starting a conversation right away, and we kind of hit it off from there and spent the rest of the day together.
Some of my favorite things about Cap was his laugh and his determination to always be right or win. There was one time we were having an arm wrestling contest and I won, and he could not live with that, so we had to have another arm wrestle contest. And he made me switch to my left hand that time, and of course he won. But although he beat me in the end, no one could let him live down to losing to a girl. I loved his energy, and I'm going to miss all of our arm wrestle contests.
Cap George to me was a guy that was always there for you, and he was hilarious, and he could always put you in a good mood, even when you were the most upset you thought you'd ever been in your life. He was always there to help you, and I think the thing that he taught me most was that helping other people and being kind to other people, even if it was just for a second, was always something you should be trying to do.
So for me, Cap George was someone that I could always talk to if I was having a bad day. I could always just talk to him, or with anything in life. Like even a girl I liked, I could always talk to him, and he would be the one to give me advice on that. So I think Cap kind of knew everything about everyone. He always was able to be someone that you knew was there for you, and I think he could always brighten your day. He was always funny, and I think that's the biggest thing that I remember about Cap.
Cap has always been one of the most supportive people in my life. He's always a positive reminder. Like when he walks in the room, everyone can just feel his energy, and he'll just like randomly like text you and remind you like how much he like values you and your friendship. And one of my favorite memories about Cap was freshman year. He spent $50 on a pair of Lululemon leggings that were pink for Pink Out, and he got a like sequined fedora. And in my garage after the football game, we all got together and we were just like sitting around, and all of a sudden he's just like, put on WAP, the song, and he just gets up and starts dancing like so, like it was just so funny. Like everyone was just losing it because he was just so funny and brought so much like fun and energy.
Cap has been my best friend since like preschool and all throughout kindergarten. One of my favorite memories with Cap is when we were in a team camp at Crane, and I was taking a shower, and it's the only time privacy we got all weekend. And this kid decided to dump red Gatorade all over me and get me so cold. I got out of the shower and I punched him so hard, and he's just dying laughing for like 20 minutes.
One thing I remember about Cap is he always brought a positive vibe everywhere we went, and he always made me happy, made me smile, made me laugh. And one story I particularly remember about him is at Marquette basketball camp, I had to sleep with him, and I specifically made a line where he couldn't cross, and at the end of the night he was completely across the line. I had no space at all, and I barely got any sleep.
My favorite thing about Cap was how selfless he was and how he was such a good listener. I'll never be able to forget how I could rant to him about literally anything. If it came to like boy problems or girl drama or whatever, Cap would always be there to listen, and he was always the first person I'd text when anything happened, and I'm never gonna forget that, and I'm so thankful for him.
Cap never failed to put a smile on my face. Whether he was the joke or making the joke, there was never a dull moment. One specific memory I have is when we would always wrestle. At Jordan's house, he was just egging me on, and I took it too far, and we just started going at it. We were wrestling, I pinned him within 30 seconds, and his excuse was that he wasn't ready and he wanted to go again, but never ended up winning.
My memory of Cap was his consistent energy and his ability to always find a way to push me over the edge.
And one memory that stands out to me was when he first got his license, and he went around and started bragging about how his car had a long car ride mode when this was actually just the low gear in his car. And he wouldn't believe me, so he made me pull out the manual and show him. But for the next 20 minutes, he explained to me how I was wrong and the manual was wrong.
For me, Cap has always been someone that has taught me that wherever I am, I can be happy and smiling. He's taught me this through his constant jokes, arguments over nothing, and just his overall presence. One example of this is the Snapchat videos he would send us. He would send videos of him singing popular songs, and he would never know the words to any of the songs, but it was just a minute-long video of him mumbling words, and it was really dumb, but it was super funny, and it was a great laugh for everyone. So that's one of the best things I remember about Cap, and I just want to thank Cap for everything he's done for us.
Cap meant so much to me, and his goofiness will forever be remembered. I'll always remember the time back in 6th grade playing Just Dance at Izzy Yar's house. Thank you so much for all your memories. We'll all miss you.
Cap was a special kid, you know, he was always positive and he brought a good energy to everything he always did. Showed 100% effort, and he inspired me to like always be nice to everyone, like, and he like changed the way I thought of like life in general, like the way he'd walk into a room and everybody would light up and got excited to see him, and just like he was always just happy, like he was never negative, he was always in a good mood and everything, and that just inspired me to like become a better person and all that other stuff. And one memory I have of him is when he wore his Hawaiian shirt to school, and everybody was just chirping him and everything, but he didn't care. Like, he was such an outgoing kid, and he was happy and he was feeling himself and all that, and just like his confidence was just there, and like overall he was a great kid, so he just always inspired me to like just be a better person.
Cap impacted my life in so many ways. He taught me how to love, he taught me how to live life to the fullest, and most importantly, he taught me how to forgive. One of my favorite things about Cap is he was such a positive person. He always lifted everybody up. I learned that very well through sports. When you did something well, Cap would always let you know. He was everybody's hype man. It didn't matter if you were there or not, he'd always hype you up. And when you did something wrong, Cap would always be the first person to pick your head up and tell you that you can do better. Like, my favorite memory of him though is when I was running the 400. It was a meet day, and he was the only person in the infield cheering me on through my last steps through the race.
I didn't know Cap as well as everyone, but he definitely impacted my life in many ways. I just loved his really positive energy and the way that he can make friends with anyone, no matter who you were. And one of my favorite memories about Cap, actually was kind of annoying, is like anytime you're in a big group and wanted to get his attention, it would take you like 1,000 times to say his name before he actually looked at you. So, I mean, he basically had the attention span of a fly, but love that kid.
I think my favorite thing about Cap was just that he loved you no matter who you were. He didn't care what other people thought about you or like what reputation you had. He just knew that it was easier to love on you. I feel like Cap always carried around love in his heart. He didn't let hatred or anger dictate any of his emotions. And for me, having Cap in my life just made the world a better place. And I know that from now on, I want to wake up every morning and try to live more like he did, with kindness and energy and just loving on the people around you.
One thing I always admire about Cap is that he always had a positive attitude and he could make a joke out of anything. And one of my favorite memories was sitting next to him in A-Push, and he would just make every day so interesting and make so many jokes. And whenever we took partner tests, he would keep me there 10 minutes after class, just going over the test again and again, making sure that we were going to get 100%. And I just admired the way that he put so much effort into everything that he did.
My favorite thing about Cap was his tenacious energy and how he could light up a room, and it didn't matter what kind of day you were having, and he could bring you into a better mood. And one of my favorite memories of Cap was anytime we'd have a meet day, during choir, he'd push us and throw us around the chairs, like me and Brian.
Cap has impacted me in so many ways. One thing that I remember is that in 6th grade, my teacher took my scooter and rode it down the hallway, but then Cap chased him down and took it and rode it back, and my teacher was walking behind him with an angry face, and Cap was laughing and had the biggest smile on his face, like he just didn't care.
My favorite thing about Cap was that he never took himself too seriously and his laugh was super contagious. Freshman year, Cap got a haircut the day before spring break and he wore a hat and a hood the entire day and he wouldn't let anyone see his hair. And the bell rang at the end of 7th hour and we were all leaving and I took his hood and his hat off and we all laughed for like 20 minutes on his haircut and he kept saying it was like from his hat that caused it, it wasn't that bad. And he just always made a joke about himself and always laughed at himself and just never took things too seriously.
Cap impacted my life by always showing me how you should live in the moment and live it as best as you can. One of my favorite memories with Cap is when we were all in the football room watching film and he'd get excited over the littlest things and we'd all start laughing and it got to the point where all of us were laughing and coach came out and yelled at us but Cap had no clue and it was just funny and it really got to me how he just finds like funny and like smiles over the smallest things in life.
One of my favorite memories with Cap was when me, Izzy, Sean, and Cap went to a Saints baseball game, and Cap was wearing these shorts, and he had a belt on, and the belt was really loose at the end, and so he wanted to wear it out of the belt loop, because he thought it looked really cool, and it was like better than everybody else's, and everyone was just like telling him to tuck it in, you know, tuck it into the belt loop, but he just didn't care what anyone else thought, and he wanted to wear it his way, and so he left it out the entire game for all the pictures.
One of my favorite memories of Cap is in 6th grade when he would always tell all of us girls how much he liked when we curled our hair, and we cared so much about his opinion that we curled our hair for a week straight. I will always remember the way everyone looked up to Cap and wanted to impress him because he was always the star of the show.
With Cap was we were debating on whether to go to the Apple Valley Water Park or Grand Slam, and so TJ asked Cap where we should go, and Cap's like, Grand Slam, Grand Slam, Grand Slam. And only because he said that their pizza is so good and he loves their pizza.
One thing I will always remember about Cap is in freshman year I brought a facial spray to school and I've never seen someone so obsessed with the smell of something. He sat down and smelled it for 5 minutes and ended up having an allergic reaction to this. Even though he had a reaction, every single day since then he went up to me asking if I had the spray, and I've never seen someone so in love with something so little. This would just always remind me of how much care and love he had for everything in his life.
One of my favorite things about Cap was his smile, and whenever he'd walk into a room, the room would light up. His laugh was so contagious, and I'm gonna miss it so much.
Something that I will always love about Cap is how dramatic he was about everything. He had the biggest reactions to even the smallest things. This just shows how much energy and life he brought to everyone and everything. We are all going to miss all these little moments with Cap.
One of my favorite memories of Cap was in 9th grade when we were serving teachers ice cream for a student council event. After the event was done, Cap decided he was gonna keep some ice cream for himself. And so then two hours later, he was still working on the 5-gallon bucket of ice cream that he kept for himself. He always just showed me that all the little moments matter and it's what makes life worth it.
I had many favorite memories about Cap, but one that really stands out is sophomore year during lunch. We were going up to get lunch and on the way back, he walked past the blind girl who had the dog and stepped on the tail, and he had never been so emotionally wrecked in his life. He started crying and everything, and it was, just showed him how caring he was.
Cap was a very special person. I've known Cap my entire life, and not once have I heard someone talk bad behind his back, and I think that's a very special thing. One of Cap's biggest dreams that he's always wanted to do was be a varsity football player, and he never got to do that, but I know he trained very hard for it. And I know someday, Cap, both of us will be playing up there someday.
Cap was a believer in me. He was an inspiration to me. Before the Eden play, blocked field goal, me and him played, and he spoke wisdom words into me. And I went out there and blocked the field goal, and the first person I went up to was Cap, and we celebrated together.
Something that I will always remember about Cap is he took pride in every single thing he did. He never left a room unhappy, and he had 0 enemies. The world will always be a better place with Cap in it, and we will miss him so much.
So Cap was a really big inspiration to me. He always brought a positive attitude to everything. He always made me happy whenever I had a bad day or after like some basketball. He always taught me, and whenever I'm taking long on a test, he'd always be there with me because he's also taking long. And a memory I have with him that I'm quite fond of is when me, TJ, Sean, Aiden, and Cap went to Buffalo Wild Wings. And you know, we hit it off, we had a good time. And so we were driving back to Cap's house, and I look over in the rearview mirror and I see police sirens, and I'm like, I thought it was for me, right? But I kept on driving, and I see Cap's car, and he pulls over, and I saw he didn't have his headlights on. So we get back, and so when we get to his house, he was like on the brink of crying, and like we keep calling him a felon and everything, and he's like, he thought his life was over, and it was the funniest thing ever. And then it was just a great night, and I'll always cherish that for the rest of my life.
Favorite memories of Cap is in English class. I think it was like the last day of school or something. I remember he just jumped on my back for whatever reason. I was holding him pretty good. Then I tried taking a few steps, and we ended up knocking a whole table over. Then I saw my teacher, Ms. Jacobson, next to me, and I thought we were about to get sent to the principal office. Luckily, that didn't happen. Cap, he could just be friends with anyone. He didn't care who you are, where you come from, what sport you play, or whatever. He just loved you for who you are, and you could just be yourself around him.
So one thing I remember forever about Cap was we were all at my house, and we were on the roof, and we were not supposed to be on the roof. And he saw my mom in the window, and he started freaking out. I've never seen someone freak out about that little of a thing before. And then he ate all the freezies in my freezer, and so then I didn't have any for the rest of the summer, so I was really disappointed about that. And then yeah, basically that's it, all I have for you.
Cap has impacted my life more than any other single person, and I think the biggest thing is that he taught me what true friendship is. And the best example I can give of this is over the past summer. It was recently after Cap's surgery, and he kind of struggled doing stuff on his own. He would sometimes forget things, or he couldn't really drive a car. And so I was visiting him, and his parents let me drive one of their cars and take him up to Cub because it was Hannah and his anniversary. And I don't really know how long it was, because he probably changed the answer to how long it was about 3 or 4 times. But I think our biggest thing is we were constantly helping each other, even though we didn't even realize it. And so I took him up to Cub, and we got Hannah and his anniversary present. And at the time, I don't think we realized it, but it was both really good for the both of us, because for him it was sort of a break from the constant questions and challenges and stress that he had recently had to go through. And for me, it was really good because it was sort of we just got to be kids again, and that meant more to me than anything else. And so I love you, Cap, and I'll see you soon.
Cap George has impacted so many of our lives, and we will never forget all the great memories that he's given us. We love you and miss you.